And in his word, God told his people beforehand that the nations would conspire against the Messiah, that all these leaders would try to do everything in their power to oppose God, his Messiah Jesus, and his church. And you know what God does in response to all these threats from these earthly rulers? The early church didn't quote the rest of Psalms 2, but 2 verses later, in Psalms 2:4, we see what the Lord does. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord ridicules them. One of the most embarrassing and humiliating things that a person can do to someone that is attempting to act tough is to laugh in their face at their attempts to look tough. I'm not a huge follower of UFC, which is the Ultimate Fighting Championship, MMA, but one of my favorite fighters was George St. Pierre, known as GSP. Has anyone watched a fight with GSP before? I still love GSP. He's awesome. He was an absolute animal in the ring. And in 2017, he fought against a guy named Michael Bisping. And if you know anything about UFC, you know that before their fight, they weigh in, they have to meet weight, and then they do a quick stare down, and then they go off before their fight. Well, GSP and Bisping, they did their weigh-in, and then they started their little stare off. And you see Bisping immediately start to talk smack, start to try to charge through to GSP, pointing fingers, and he was trying to act all tough. And you know what GSP did? Let's look at this photo. GSP, on the right, laughed. I put shirts on them because we're in church, okay? But GSP was laughing at the threats by Bisping. And this is what God, and you know who won the fight? GSP. Not the guy that was making all the threats. And this is what God does. God looks at the ones that try to oppose him and he laughs. God is not afraid when man attempts to oppose him. God isn't intimidated by depraved men that plot against him and his church. God doesn't get all worried when earthly rulers try to belittle him. God laughs at it. God doesn't get confused. God doesn't get depressed. God doesn't get all anxious. No, God laughs. God laughs because he is in the heavens. He sits as the king of all. He isn't anxiously pacing back and forth through the hallways of heaven, getting all worked up over the depravity that evil men conjure up. No, he doesn't do that. God sits in total control and laughs. He's not anxiously roaming the halls of heaven trying to figure out what he needs to do. God laughs because his plans and his purposes will come to pass. And we can either try to dethrone or try to oppose the sovereign God, or we can get all worked up over all the evil plans that all these big bad guys are planning in our world, or we can join God in holy laughter. When laws get passed that are anti-God, we can go to the Lord in prayer and laugh along with him, knowing that his ultimate plan is going to come to pass. There's absolutely nothing better in life than when you can join with those close to you in just laughter, right? Like when you're sitting around the table with family and friends eating dinner and you all just join together in laughter. And friends, we can look at the world and we can either get all worked up, we can get all fearful, we can get all anxious, or we can trust in the sovereignty of God, know that he has a plan, and join in laughter knowing that the plans of these evil men are only going to work to accomplish his ultimate purpose. When we face oppression for our faith, we can look at those that oppose us and laugh because God is sovereign. God has the final say, and no person and no thing will ever be able to defeat him.